Captain Entertainment video. It's Art here with the book review for The Calculating Stars by Mary Robinette Kowal. It is the first in the Lady Astronaut series. It was the Sword and Laser Book Club Book of the Month for February. And I finished it in February. Well, yeah, I finished it. I wanted to like this book. I enjoy science fiction from new perspectives about new things and newish things. But this was a steaming pile of horseshit. Let me explain why. The main character, the main premise of the book is there's a meteor that hits the Earth and causes basically what will lead to an extinction level event. Humanity has 50 to 100 years to get off the planet before the planet Earth becomes uninhabitable. Premise sounds great, and we're supposed to follow lady astronauts or a group of lady astronauts when they help colonize the Earth. It's set in an alternate timeline in the late 1950s, early 1960s. These ladies, and the main character was a pilot in World War II, an accomplished pilot in World War II. She's a physicist, has a doctorate in physics. So she's no dummy. She's smart. And I'm thinking, okay, we're going to have a meeting of a bull type character. And she's going to buck the system until she gets what she wants. Quite frankly, that doesn't happen. Quite frankly, she's a whiny, cryy main character who can't stand up for herself when it really truly matters, and then behind closed doors she beats the hell out of herself. And it'd be okay if it happened once or twice, but this happens every single time a major moment. If you really truly want something, even back in the 50s and 60s, and believe me, I'm a history major, I understand that this is a period piece. I get that this is a period piece. And I kept waiting for her to get the intestinal fortitude to stand up for herself. Yes, I know it's scary. Yes, I know it's dangerous. I get that completely. I understand that completely. I kept waiting for her easy for me to say, for her proverbial balls to drop. For her to get a backbone. For her to stand up for herself when it really and truly mattered in front of everything. But you don't see that. You see her back down and kowtow and give in to what the norm wants, and then when she's with her husband, she lets him have it, lets him have all the rage and all the logical argument that she should have put forth to the person in power, but didn't have the spine to. And after about the third or fourth time, I kept waiting for her to grow as a character. I kept waiting for her to mature as a character. It never happened. I don't know how people like this book. She, as a main character, got on my nerves. I wanted to take a baseball bat and beat her myself. Because it was grating. I understand it's a period piece, but I also understand in the time that Mary Robinette Kowal is writing, like, you want to see human empowerment. I want to see human empowerment. I want to see all humans lifted on a level, not just women or people with disabilities or African Americans or Asians. I want to see all humans. We are humans before we are anything else. We all are on this planet before we are anything else. I wanted to see that realization and that growth, especially in that dire of a world crisis, happened, and it never does. This book was like nails on a chalkboard for me. This book was so grating and so terrible. It was never a truly fleshed out story. And the story had so much promise, but every time we'd have a scene where she'd be whiny cry, or we'd have an awkward sex scene described to us between her and her husband, whereas they're being intimate with one another, they're going over quadratic equations. I mean, I've heard of some things, but quadratic equations while you're doing that, if you're into that, if that's your thing, congratulations. But to me, it was like it was awkward. It was clunky. You felt like a third wheel, and I kept wanting to skip those sections and skip that part of the book. It was ultimately a book that was dangerously close to putting me into a reading slump. It was ultimately a book that, for most series, I always ask the question of, will I continue? Was this a good primer for the series? That answer for this one is no. Is it a good primer? And for the first time in a long time, will I continue in the series? No. Not since The Blessing Way by Tony Hillerman has the answer been no. And go back on my channel. I'll put a link to it down below. But look at the video and see how long ago it was that I posted. It was the very first review on this channel in June of 2017. We're now coming up on June of 2019. So that was 2 years of greatness going on. But that was stopped by Mary Robinette Kowal's Calculating Stars. So on my personal scale, it gets a pass, throw it in trash, don't bother. And on the GoodReads scale, it gets the first 1 star in 7 years of me being on GoodReads. It's been 7 years from, it was 2012 was the last time I gave a 1-star book review. But this book earns it. It was a slog to get through. I read it because it was the Sword and Laser Book Club Book of the Month. I wanted to like it. There were parts of the story that were really interesting and flew by and had me going with the book, but I cannot explain to you it. I would rather get a root canal at the dentist. I would rather watch paint dry. I would rather see the Cubs win the World Series again than have to read this piece of fiction. I'm not saying Mary Robinette Kowal is a bad writer. I'm saying she lost her way. I thought the narration was as good as it could get. I thought she was pretty good for reading her own work. But it was a bad book. So without further ado, I make videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Saturday at 12:30 p.m. Central, 10:30 a.m. Pacific, 1:30 p.m. Eastern. Please like, comment, subscribe if you want to see more. Please ding the notification bell to be notified when I upload a video, or check your subscription feeds as well in case YouTube fails itself, because you know how YouTube likes to fail things. Please leave a comment down below if you've actually read the book and what you thought of it. I will not judge you for liking the book. If you like the book, hey, that's one person that the book was written for. It was not written for me. I could not stand the book, and I will not be ever going back to read the book or even listen to the book. I returned it to Audible with the notation of I didn't like the book. Normally, I only do returns for like audio or technical issues with the production. But this one was, take this crap off my system. I don't need to see this. So, let's end on a happy note. So, without further ado, happy reading, everybody. Let's hope the next book is better than this one. Happy reading. I'll see you again soon. And peace.